Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly.
All right, welcome back to the DCL podcast, your podcast for helping you and your family cruise a little bit smarter. And today we have a special fun episode because we kicked Steve off of the podcast.
He's gone.
He's gone, and now it's your new co-host, Chris and Christy, without Steve.
Wow.
No, Steve couldn't make it tonight. And Chris and Christy, myself and Christy, we love to play when Steve is away. And also Steve loves these episodes because he gets to edit them and hear them fresh for the first time. And it's a lot of fun. But
so let's see if we can make him laugh out loud, because I like
that's
the
our goal.
Unexpected laughter that Steve reports back later. So let's try to do that.
Okay. I think we're going to get there. I also have to look up a dad joke so that I can offer it in his place.
Please don't. Please save me dad jokes when he's not here. Please.
One episode of the podcast without a dad joke, right?
Please.
But I'm super excited today because our guest, who is a returning guest, is going to be talking about two kind of like specialty cruises that are unique to the lineup of DCL cruises. So without further ado, let's introduce Megan from Sacramento. Megan, how are you doing today?
Great. Thank you for asking. I'm so excited to be back.
Welcome back. We loved it when you joined us and did an episode on the Carnival Panorama, which was a brand new ship at the time. And we all got to have a like little hot take on what the new Carnival ship felt like. I think the Carnival Panorama home ports out of Long Beach. And so it is something that Seth and I, my husband and I, have considered because it's so close. And I'm like, for whatever reason, that like siren song of Guy's Burgers or whatever makes me want to be like, I got to try Carnival one time. And if I'm going to try Carnival, I have to do it on a new ship because, you know, I'm a little DCL snob.
Yes, I highly recommend it. It was great.
Okay. I take your word for it.
You can get warm chocolate melting cake every night of your cruise. You can get a Guy's Burger every day of your cruise if you want.
Breakfast burritos at the Blue Iguana.
Oh,
right. Breakfast burritos. And then that ship has a pub on the back of it, right? Like a smokehouse with barbecue. I'm like, can I please have a smokehouse with barbecue on a cruise ship? Like all of these things sound amazing. So for all the like shade that DCL fans throw at Carnival, go back and listen to the Panorama episode because to be honest, it got me thinking maybe one day I will go on that cruise ship. So, but we're not here to talk about Carnival.
But before we move on from Carnival, it was episode 142. So you can find it wherever podcasts are played or just Google episode 142 of the DCL podcast and you can find it on our site. And one day, if we ever fixed our site, we would have a search function. And I need to just get the logins and add that because it is ridiculous that our, sad little website doesn't even have a search function.
Well, I'm not a coder, but I have faith in you, Christy, that you'll learn or be able to do.
I'm not a coder either, but I can figure out WordPress. And so that is what I'll do.
Okay. Well, we're not here to talk about that though today.
Nope.
We're here to talk about two really unique and cool sailings. So one of those sailings happened back in January, which was a 5-night double dip Marvel Day at Sea cruise out of Miami on the Disney Magic.
Yes.
And the other cruise was a 2-night Mexican Ensenada probably sailing out of San Diego on the Wonder. So we're going to talk about those because those are two interesting cruises that are slightly different from a typical, cruise out of Port Canaveral. So let's start with that cruise back in January. Tell us how you came to plan it. How did you get on the Disney Magic for those 5 nights on the Marvel Day?
But before we even do that, who travels with you? Who cruises with you?
Yeah. So I cruise with my husband and our 2 kids. We have a daughter, Daisy, and she's 10, and our little son named Bennett, and he is 4.
Ooh, 10 and 4. Those are fun and different ages.
Very. Okay. We have to appeal to different interests.
Which luckily Disney has some experience in that.
Yep.
Okay, so you have 2 kids, 10-year-old, 4-year-old, you and your husband, and you sailed out of Miami. What made you choose that cruise?
I got an email from Disney and it was, the email of like, these are all the cruises that are for sale. And so I'm like, sale, you say? So we already had exactly DCL. What? So we already had, future cruise credit kind of sitting there, like waiting to get used over the last couple of years. And so I saw the Marvel Day at Sea, and it was a double dip, and it was very inexpensive for a 5-night. And I thought, can we make this happen? And it was like perfectly aligned with our daughter's days off from school. So I kind of convinced my husband to do it and, really showed him all the reasons that we should try this. And we jumped on it. And I think we booked it like maybe a month before it was supposed to sail.
Wow. Oh my gosh, a month before it was supposed to sail, which Christy, remind us if you're a month before you're sailing, then everyone's already had their booking window open up, right?
I think we were like probably 35 days prior to sailing or something like that. So then like our booking window was like a couple days after we booked.
So their booking for activities would have already passed, but their onboard check-in plus their kids club registration will have occurred, which that doesn't exist anymore, but will have occurred at the 30-day mark. Exactly. So they were able to get those. So that's exciting.
Yes.
Okay. So what did you book ahead of time for the cruise? Anything besides kids club time?
Yeah. Okay. So we booked all the kids club time, and then I got on the Facebook page for that sailing, and people were talking about cabanas and how they were probably holding a bunch back. Cause this was like peak, Omicron, right? One of the variants. And so I was watching, the Facebook page, and somebody posted a couple weeks prior, or maybe like 10 days, like they dropped all the cabanas. And so I jumped on the page, and I think maybe somewhere like 7 cabanas had like become available for both days. So we had an opportunity for both days. And so we jumped on getting a cabana for the second day of Castaway.
Right. You got to do the special experience on the second day so that when you come back, you're like, and we have something new.
Exactly. Yes. So that was about all we booked beforehand.
Which is like a cool thing.
The big thing, right?
Yeah. Super cool. Yeah. Oh, wait, we did book parasailing for my husband and our daughter. Yeah.
And
did they get to go?
Yeah. I was shocked. Yeah. Because everybody keeps talking about how like it never happens. And I thought it was windy, and I'm like, it's never going to happen, y'all. Like I hear everybody say that it always gets canceled. Right. No, they totally went. They loved it.
Oh my God. Well, we're going to get there. Make sure we talk about this. No, don't be sorry. Because I'm signed up. I have to parasail with Lake from Lakeland.
Really?
Yeah.
The two of you? Because Katie won't do it?
Apparently, yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Seth and I have parasailed out of Castaway. And it's so fun because you're 300 and something feet in the air, and then the boat is right there. The ship, The ship is like right there, and you're flying so high that you can kind of see like what's going on the pool deck.
Oh my God. We're taking all the video of all of that.
I have some good video. It's a lot of fun and a little bit scary because you can see like shapes that look like sharks in the water, but you're like, you know what? I'm living my life. It's going to happen. We're doing it.
Yeah, no, I was like, that's not me. Y'all can go. I'm not going to do that.
Okay. Well, that's a spoiler for later. We'll chat about how that went, but let's start with this cruise, Christy.
So did you stay anywhere the day before? So you were coming from California, pretty long flight.
Yeah. So this was like, the whole trip was let's make up for, missing out on trips. So we flew in, we had DVC points like left over that we had to use. So we stayed at 2 nights at the different resorts. We didn't even go into the parks. We just hung out at the resorts, and then we drove down to Miami. So we stayed at the boardwalk and the beach club and just kind of switched.
How did you find that? How do you find going to a DVC resort and not theme parking it? Was it like a fun thing to do, or were you feeling like there wasn't enough to do?
Oh, no, totally a fun thing to do. Yeah. I mean, because the beach club has the Stormalong Bay, so the kids enjoyed that. And then we found lots to do on the boardwalk.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. When we go on our Wish cruise in July, my family's staying at Saratoga Springs, and we're not going probably into the theme parks. We're just gonna like check out Disney Springs, and I think actually we're gonna cheat on Disney and go see the Velocicoaster at Universal. But nice. I do think that that's a good tip for folks, especially with DVC. It's like you can stay at the hotels and you don't have to spend a bunch of money on property if you don't want to.
And we went to Disney Springs for a couple hours. So yeah, we found lots to do. Now, I mean, our daughter really wanted to go in, but again, it it was COVID and we had to test. And so we were really worried about like having
Being
flown there.
careful.
And so we were very, very careful the whole time until, we got on the ship. We're like, yay, we're here.
And
Awesome.
something to remember too, when you're staying in a DVC resort, that a lot of them have a community center, and those community centers have like included crafts that you can do. So the kids love it. There's also like some add-on crafts that you can do that don't cost that much. But I know like my son and I made in one resort, these little pillows that were super reasonably priced and fun. There's like painting crafts, and depending on how many days you're going to be there for, you can do the painting crafts, and they'll put them in the paint oven, the craft oven, the ceramic oven, whatever it's called. So you can do all of that. So there's like lots of little things, and the boardwalk rents bikes out. So there's so much you can do at these resorts.
Yeah. It sounds like not a bad way to spend your pre-cruise time.
How was the drive to Miami? And I am making that drive, so don't scare me on Thursday.
No, it wasn't that bad. Yeah. Until you get into Miami, right? So totally fine until we got into Miami. And that probably took a little bit more time than what we had expected. So we thought we left with enough time, but we probably should have left maybe 30 minutes earlier. I think we gave ourselves 4 hours, and we probably should have maybe given ourselves like 4.5, something like that. Yeah.
Do you see these eyes? It better not take me 4.5 hours to get to Miami. It probably will.
And we were getting into Miami like 10 a.m., right? Yeah. So yeah.
I won't be doing that either. I won't be doing 10 a.m. and I won't.
So you drove down to Miami. I have sailed out of Miami. I have actually done this exact cruise, except we didn't have a double dip.
And you didn't go to Walt Disney World first for 2 days?
No, but we did stay in a hotel right on the port so we could watch the magic come in the morning. So I'm just saying it was pretty cool, but you can go listen to that episode whatever it was. But one thing that we're just going to ignore on this cruise is the COVID protocols, because they don't matter.
Yeah.
It happened. You got on the ship. It's going to be way different now. So you got on the ship. Here's the thing about Miami. It is iconic as a sail away. It is so beautiful.
I cannot wait. I will be outside.
You can see so many amazing things. And folks got to get on that because Disney is switching to Port Everglades soon. And it's a totally different sail away experience. So tell me your thoughts about sailing past all those billionaires' houses or millionaires' houses and seeing South Beach.
Okay. So first we upgraded at the port.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
We gotta talk about that.
Oh my gosh, we got to talk about that. Pause, because you did get to the port and upgrade. What happened?
So I was that crazy person that, when we got our
That's why you got there at 10 a.m.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And I'm like stalking, the thing, looking for my number. And right when I got it, like, let's go. And like grabbed the kids and like, ran over there and, asked right away, like, so are there any more upgrades? I'm like, we'll take you over to the supervisor's desk. So we stood and the lady was like, are you like actually interested, or do you just want to know the option? Like, I don't know. It was something like, do I really need to waste my time with you? Kind of thing. I was like, no, we're actually interested. And so we were able to upgrade to a 1-bedroom concierge. It was like the best choice that we made. So sitting on our balcony of our 1-bedroom concierge, watching all the, amazing mansions and yachts. I pulled up Zillow and was like going through like, oh, that one's, 8 million or whatever it is. Yeah. So that was really cool. It was such a good feeling.
For those who don't know, all these houses are on different canals that have boats, yachts, like giant, gorgeous yachts. These are like J-Lo houses. They are so, so cool. And then the grand finale is like sailing out past South Beach with all those beautiful tall hotels. And it's really pretty, right? Yeah,
it was amazing.
Oh my gosh, I miss it. And I don't know that we'll ever get to do it again. Maybe we will. The dream is starting to sail.
It's going to be years. It's at least 3 years, I think.
Okay.
Before Disney starts sailing out of Fort Lauderdale.
So just got to pitch it here. If y'all want to do your land and sea vacation, where you go to Disney World and you still take a cruise, but you don't cruise out of Port Canaveral, you cruise out of Miami. It's very different experience. And it's also really beautiful.
Yeah. Well, and even if you don't, right? Like just going into Miami, it's so convenient, right? I know that we didn't, but like it's so convenient to get to the Miami airport than to the cruise ship. Yeah. It's really
very
nice.
Convenient. And the cabs are a set price in Miami. So when you're at the airport, they're like There's no bartering. It's the one place I would actually consider taking a cab because they're like, it's like $24 or whatever. And it's a set price. And so when you're done with the cruise, again, set price. So that is a very convenient way to travel. If you do have a cruise in and out of there, they do have some airport hotels. So you can look into that. So you can stay near the airport if you're flying in the day before. Do you mind telling us the pricing for your upgrade? So you're a family of 4. If you don't want to, we'll just pretend this conversation never happened.
Yeah,
but
no
I think listeners would love to hear like what you paid in 2022 to upgrade to a 1-bedroom, which is awesome.
Yeah. And I can't remember. I have notes. I want to say that we were in a family balcony originally, and we upgraded to the 1-bedroom concierge, and it was $2,700.
Okay.
Yes.
2,700, 2,400 somewhere.
Yeah. 27.
Okay.
Because in my mind, I thought anything less than 3,000 I'm game for. And then when they said 27, I'm like, oh, I just saved $300.
So some of the perks of a 1-bedroom is you can get full room service delivered to your room, not like the regular room service, which is just fine, included on Disney Cruise Line, but you can get the Royal Court breakfast and lunch and dinner, frankly, delivered to your stateroom because you have a table and they'll lay it all out on the table. You have a big, huge balcony. You have a bedroom. So did your bedroom have the bed, like the pulled drop down bed in the bedroom, or was it in the living room in the bedroom?
No, the drop down was in the bedroom. Yeah.
So did you end up using the drop down bed in the bedroom, or did both kids sleep? Your face, you guys, Megan, we are recording so we can see faces. And she was like, absolutely not. They used the pull out couch then in the living room.
They shared the pull out couch because we were like, this is our room. We paid for this. We will be using the bedroom for ourselves. That was kind of a bummer. I was, hoping that the kids would have 2 separate beds, but they dealt with it.
Yeah. For whatever reason, the concierge cabins, the couch is a pull-out couch and not like the little fold-down couch. Yeah. And then you don't have the bunk bed situation. So there is a bed that pulls down from the wall, and depending on where you are in the ship, for the Wonder and the Dream, Wonder and the Magic, depends on whether that fold down bed is in the cabin or if it's in the living room. Were you in one of the handicap accessible cabins or were you? Okay. So you were in a standard. Yes. And so then some other perks of that cabin is there were 2 bathrooms.
Yes.
That's magical.
Amazing. Yeah.
And then the lounge. So I did the upgrade to a 1-bedroom on the Magic years ago. I think it was like maybe my second cruise, second or third or something like that. They did not have a lounge back then when I did it. So you got the lounge, which is a little bit different than the newer ships because the newer ships, all those cabins are together. On the Magic and the Wonder, they're spread out. But then the lounge actually has outdoor viewing, right?
Yes.
Like you can see the ocean, which is amazing. How come you didn't go up there to watch the sailway?
I don't know. We were just enjoying our cabin too much, I think. We were just kind of like, we're in a 1-bedroom. We're just going to stay here as long as possible.
If I was in a 1-bedroom that I upgraded at the port, I wouldn't literally do anything else on the cruise except spend time in
like robes.
Gotta put those bathrooms on. I mean, I guess the only thing about upgrading the concierge at the port is that there are those pre-cruise concierge services you don't have access to. And does that include, Christy, right? You can have them put like your preferred beverages in the fridge and stuff like that if you book ahead of time?
Yeah, non-alcoholic beverages.
Yeah.
But were you able to request that once you got on?
Oh, yeah. It was like, do we have some, Diet Sprite? Oh, I would like, the Dasani bottle of water instead of the, the Avion. Like, do you have Perrier? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then they bring it like each night to our, on the trolley
milk,
cart.
If your little one. The trolley cart.
Yeah.
I want the trolley cart.
The trolley cart is awesome. It was amazing.
Oh my God. Okay.
I was always wondering if the concierge was worth it if you didn't drink alcohol, because part of the perk is the lounge gives you access to alcohol and things like that. But it sounds like there's a lot of other little perks there that have nothing to do with drinking.
I was just going to say, just even the special attention. Like Dave doesn't drink alcohol and he is all about paying for concierge. Just like, and we can't possibly drink enough alcohol to pay the difference in concierge. However, it's the whole experience. So Megan, you tell us, what did you think
agree.
now?
Quite frankly, like my favorite part was the fact that it was 1 bedroom. So like to me, the space was amazing. And like, that's really kind of in my mind, what I was paying for, but I've never been more hydrated on a cruise in my life. And we don't normally drink alcohol either, but it was very cool to have the cart come by and it was just like, all right, sure. We'll try some, we'll, make us something fruity. But yeah, we probably didn't get, I guess what people would consider like our money's out of it, money out of it, but it was still a really neat experience. We didn't realize that we could have had the breakfast and dinner like brought to the cabin.
No.
Yeah. So I got off and then saw that on a Facebook page, like somebody talking about it. I'm like, oh, bummer. That would have been nice to know. But yeah, other than that, like, we tried to go to lounge as much as we could and, got what we could out of there. And we had some interactions with the concierge hosts but the drink trolley and the gentleman that ran that were just amazing.
Oh, I want a drink trolley.
Yeah.
And concierge on the Wish for the first time will have a pool.
Yeah.
Some kind of little pool, right? And it has like a little bar up there or something. I will be in concierge in September on the Wish. So for a 3-day cruise. So I will report back. And I do have a client. That'll be on the week before me. So at least at the end of August, we'll get a little bit more of a report if we're not getting them from somebody else. So,
okay.
Yeah. Awesome.
Really quick, before we leave this lounge situation, what is the lounge on the Magic like? Because I know the Wonder has like these 2 separate spaces. It has a pretty large outdoor area. What is the lounge on the Magic? I know it's a little bit different.
Yeah. So in my opinion, it's a little bit smaller is from what I hear that Wonder has probably one of the better ones, but like the lounge itself is, kind of long and then it has like seating areas in the back and then outside seating area kind of off to the right-hand side. That's a good size. And then it overlooks the adult pool.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they didn't do any events in the lounge, did they?
No,
either inside or outside?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Well, you would have gotten an invite. So when the normal times return and when character interaction returns, they do a special character. So basically they say, come for this party and there might be a special guest there. And then nobody knows who the special guest is. And so then they have, a meet and greet typically one night of the cruise. So typically on like a 5-night cruise, they might do this. Well, for a 7-night cruise, for sure, they do it twice. And even on a 5-night cruise, typically in the normal times, they would have 2 of those parties, but a character would only come 1 time.
Got it. Okay.
So, just a little something for once normal times return. Okay. So you were in this lounge in your giant 1-bedroom,
right?
Living your best life. 2 people could go potty at the same time. In
yes.
Your cabin. Amazing. But this wasn't your daughter's favorite cruise because you told us beforehand the Carnival Panorama was her favorite cruise.
So the Carnival Panorama was her favorite cruise, I think, until this cruise, but it's like, they're like neck and neck. So she loved this cruise. I think she's like her mother and it's like concierge. What? Yeah. Like, this is amazing. Look at all these treats that they bring me. And like, this is amazing. So
getting spoiled. It's it's hard to not love getting spoiled.
Oh yeah. And then the cabana, like she loved that. So this one rates up there at the top, but I'm telling you, the Carnival, she loved that cruise.
That's hilarious. Are you listening, Disney? You're losing out to Carnival.
It's that Carnival melting cake and that Guy Fieri dining experience. I also hear randomly Carnival's pizza is really good.
Oh, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm so confused. They got to work on that deck food because Disney's deck food is like just fine.
I know. Yeah. She also loves the kids club or loved the kids club better in Carnival because it's more structured. Mm-hmm. And so she actually really enjoyed the kids club on this cruise that we're talking about because it was more structured during COVID and it wasn't just kind of, free for all willy nilly because she'll just go sit on an iPad, right. Or, watch a movie, but they like had them do different activities and she loved that.
Yeah. And my son, when we went again in March, was sad that they didn't have the structured activities. And he was like, I could find one craft, but they didn't give me more. They didn't have more. And like, I didn't know what to do. He likes being like in a little pod, kind of being told what to do. But it's such a mix because some kids don't.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So, and did your 4-year-old go into the kids club?
He did. And if I'm not mistaken, this was the first time that he did the Disney Kids Club because he was too young when the COVID stuff happened. So he loved it. He absolutely loved it. I think it was nice that he was with his sister.
Yes.
Because when we go to the 2-night, there was, that was different.
That's done again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Forever changing, right?
Yeah. So there was that brief 2 weeks where the unvaccinated were separated from the vaccinated at the kids club, which was difficult for parties traveling together and family members. So they stopped that. I'm assuming because of that difficultness that people were experiencing. So, and did Bennett like the kids club?
Loved it. Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yay. And Tangled, was this your first time doing the Rapunzel restaurant?
Rapunzel's Royal Table.
This is the first time that we did Rapunzel's Royal Table. It was amazing, but we had seen the show before. We'd been on the Magic in Europe a couple years back.
Oh,
Tangled the musical.
Yes, Tangled the musical. Yeah.
Yeah. You haven't seen it, Christy?
No, they didn't have it when I went. It was literally 7 years ago that I would have been on the Magic.
Oh, wow. You should see if they make the fry bread gluten-free. That's supposed to be a pretty good dessert.
Fried bread? Is that what you said?
Yeah, it's like because of her frying pan, that's like the specialty dessert in her restaurant. And I think they make gluten-free beignets, right, at Tiana's. So
they do.
They probably will make a gluten-free fry bread because it's like a specialty dessert.
I will order it way in advance and say, come on, don't let the wonder make me better gluten-free desserts than you can. I usually do a little something like, jokingly, teasingly laughing and say, yes, I got Grand Marnier souffle on the fantasy. And then they're like, what? And then they go back and try to figure out how to do it.
That's so funny. I just usually say, don't put bananas in my stuff or I'll die. And then they don't put bananas in there.
So jokingly.
I always show them my EpiPen and then they're like, oh, okay. Right. But honestly, unlike Christy, my allergy is not an allergy they have to prepare much for because bananas are relatively contained in a kitchen environment.
People aren't throwing bananas around.
Yeah, right. Gluten, not so much. Okay. So we got to talk, since we're sort of venturing towards entertainment here with Rapunzel's and all of that. This was a Marvel Day at Sea cruise. And I have been on a Marvel Day at Sea cruise.
Okay.
In fact, I've been on this same one that mine stopped at Grand Cayman. Yours couldn't because Grand Cayman was not allowing ships to stop there. So that's probably why it became a double dip. So my question for you is, how did you like the Marvel Day at Sea cruise? And before you answer that, what kind of Marvel fan are you? Casual? Avid? What's the vibe?
Okay, so
not even a little bit.
Oh, are you a Christy? I mean, a Grinch. I mean, a Christy.
I'm not a Christy.
Okay.
No offense, Christy.
I mean, it is what it is.
Right. I wouldn't say I'm like a super fan, but we have watched every single Marvel movie in the order that they're supposed to be watched in. So we went in fully prepared for the Marvel Day at Sea. Our son is a big Marvel fan, particularly Spider-Man. So we were very excited for Marvel Day at Sea, and it was just okay.
And you mentioned that you've been on a Star Wars Day at Sea,
yes.
So you kind of know what to expect out of a Disney themed day, because it is not like going on a Marvel cruise where they're like inviting Stan Lee's grandkids to tell stories about, whatever, or inviting people who wrote the actual comics to tell you about how they turned them into movies. Right. It's more like you like these characters? We'll put them everywhere.
Yes, exactly. And with Star Wars, because it was the before times, right? Like, people were there interacting, is it the Jawas are like, wanting to like take our children and, it's so much fun, just random people walking around and everybody's dressed up. But Marvel, it was like, over here, you have these character meet and greets. Over here, you may have some decorations, right? Like at this time, you can come look at the, event that we're going to do out on deck. So it wasn't as all encompassing as I think that I thought it was going to be.
Right. So we wanted to compare the pre-COVID to the post-COVID just so that we could think about it a bit. So when I did my Marvel Day at Sea, it had what you're describing. It had some decorations. It had a storyline, but it was like essentially Hydra, the villains from a lot of the Marvel films have tried to take over the ship and sort of like pirate it. But the Avengers have come together in the evening to kill all the Hydra people or capture them. Maybe we're not killing them. I don't know. To capture the Hydra people. And then we're going to have a big fireworks show because the Avengers won. Is that how the end of your night was?
For sure. The end, yes. But if there was any lead up to that like there was an awareness that Hydra came on the ship, I must have missed it because all of a sudden it was like the show at the end and it was like, oh wait, Hydra's behind us. Oh, the ship's being taken over. So I was clueless and just not paying attention, but the evening portion, yes. Anything leading up to that, not at all.
Yeah, if I'm remembering correctly, there's not. Like for Star Wars Day at Sea, the night before, fast forward 30 seconds if you want no spoilers, the night before Darth Vader comes onto the ship with some stormtroopers and takes over the captain's quarters and is now running the ship. And then that's the storyline is that happened.
Yeah.
And we heard that since the return, that is no longer happening. So maybe they just don't want people gathering in the atrium. But we anticipate that all of those sort of no gathering in the atrium things are going to go away by the summer because the Wish is advertising a farewell show that happens in the atrium. They're advertising kids making a wish with a wand that Disney is just giving them, apparently.
I've been hearing about this wand.
Cannot wait for this wand. We are totally beating up my child. Take his wand.
So there's a whole other vibe going on for the summer, but so who knows? Maybe Marvel Day at Sea will bring that back next year. But for now, what you're describing does not seem all that different. One thing you didn't touch on is the Marvel Day at Sea menu, which I'm sure they did in the restaurants.
Yes.
That menu is essentially like the way the Pirates menu works, where it's at all 3 restaurants. So you wouldn't have a different menu because you went to a different restaurant.
Right.
That being said, it is almost identical to the Star Wars restaurant, just with different themed names and stuff. So it's instead of Captain America's fried chicken, the Star Wars one is Princess Leia's fried chicken. It's not that basic, but it's pretty similar. So what we're talking about is themed meals that are so lightly themed. Maybe some Marvel-esque colors in the desserts. They probably had a Captain America shield dessert or something like that.
Right.
But it's not a dining experience the way we expect the Marvel restaurant to be on the Wish. So from what I'm hearing, a little tepid. You probably would or wouldn't go on a cruise that was specifically a themed day cruise again, or what are you thinking?
Okay, I'm sure I will because I'm a sucker for a theme. And with Pixar, I'm okay, that sounds really fun.
Oh my God, I want to go on that so badly.
I really do. But this one left me a little bummed out, except I will say it was adorable to see the characters dressed up in their Marvel outfits. No one else could care less about it in my family. And I was oh my gosh, let's go look at what's Nikki look like? What's Daisy look like? And I wanted to take pictures, but no one else could really care. But they're adorable.
I forgot they did Captain America Mickey or whatever.
And Chip and Dale. They were Loki and
oh my gosh, stop. Thor and Loki.
Thor,
That's adorable.
They were adorable.
Okay. All right, so I want some of that in my life. I love a good Fab Five minus Donald doing something out of character. If you don't go on a Disney cruise and see Goofy sleepwalking in his pajamas, did you even go on a Disney cruise? Right? So it's fun when the characters dress in cute little ways or stuff like that. Okay, so we had really similar Marvel experiences. It doesn't sound too different. I am a sucker for a themed cruise. You tell me that there is a new offering on a ship, even if that new offering is just we changed the promenade. I'm gotta go see it.
Yes.
So I'm that type of Disney person. And I've been conditioned to be that type of Disney person because I am an OG Disneyland annual pass holder. And we turn out for changing the bathrooms in Adventureland. We turn out for, we added a new drink to the cart behind the Jungle Cruise. Like we turn out for new things, even if those new things are kind of stupid. So I'm just saying that, you know, the Pixar one, I would go to that.
Oh, for sure.
The Halloween on the High Seas, I did that. And did I kind of take some candy on the trick or treat trail? I did.
Yes.
Sue me. I'm an adult. But
you get to have candy you paid.
Yeah, that's how I feel. But they didn't put it in our cabin, which is annoying.
That's rude.
Also, on Valentine's Day, they gave us this awful smelling loofah with soap in it. And we still have that thing because we were like, we paid for this loofah. Like, this is our loofah.
My mother loves that loofah. And every time I get a stinky loofah, you had one, Megan, in your concierge cabin.
It was amazing.
Oh my gosh.
The Spongel, is that what it is? Oh, it's so good.
It is so funny. Yeah. On Valentine's Day, you think it's Disney Cruise Line. They're going to give me a box of chocolates or something. Oh. We walked in and we saw this cute little red heart that looks like a box of chocolates. And we were like, ooh, let's open it. It is a loofah that has been dipped in perfume. And we were not a fan. But now that I know that your mom likes it, the point is we keep the things that are free or included. But my white whale of themed cruises is a Maritime cruise. I've never been on a Maritime cruise.
I'm going on one this year. You should come too.
Oh, I got too many cruises going on now.
I know you do.
But that being said, thinking about Marvel, let's wrap it up. Let's wrap that piece of it up.
Please, God.
Christy's like, please don't ask another question.
You definitely said words I did not understand at all during this Marvel discussion. Just
Hydra being one of them, right?
Yeah. Quantum Mania, Multiverse of Madness. We're just going to throw words out. Okay. So given that there was not a ton going on, was there any other Marvel offering that we didn't touch on? Like, did they show a particular Marvel movie in the main theater? What was the show that they did that night in the Walt Disney Theater?
Gosh, that's how it was memorable. Yeah. Okay. I just have no idea.
Yeah. So that sounds about on par. I gotta be honest. You know, Star Wars, I'll be honest, they do more on the Dream class ships.
Yep.
And one of the reasons they do is because there's more people and they need to find a bunch more activities to fill those days, because otherwise people are going to be like, I went on a Star Wars day and I didn't get to take a picture with Darth Vader or whatever. And so they do a lot more offering on the bigger ships. Okay, well, let's close the chapter on that and finish out this cruise, because there's one more cruise we want to talk a little bit about. So, Chrissy, what are the things that you want to touch on the 5-night before we shift over to the 2-night?
Well, we cannot forget the main event, in my opinion. Marvel can go in the corner for all I care.
What's the main event?
Where did she spend 2 days during this cruise?
Oh, okay. Tell us about it, because you told us that you were able to get a little something on Castaway, and we want to hear about it. So tell us about your double dip in Castaway Cay.
But also, I want you to tell us, like, what did, your family do? You have a 10-year-old and a 4-year-old, and let's talk about, like, what kind of family fun there is to do at Castaway. So,
especially if you're going there twice in one cruise.
I had to hear words I didn't care about. So let's talk about this now.
The good stuff, right? So day 1 was kind of like the activity day, right? So it was dad and daughter go on parasailing adventure, really high. Yeah. And then mommy goes, nope, that's not for me.
Yeah. So I have a couple of questions on that. When I was looking at the registration, it seemed that you could actually register kids starting at like age 8, but then it also mentioned something about a weight requirement of 100 pounds. Is that a thing? Did your daughter have to be 100 pounds?
No.
Okay.
She's a little
It's a combined, I've done this activity. It's a combined weight requirement. So they don't let two very small people go on it, because they could blow away and not live. But if you are big enough to give some heft to the parachute, then you can go on it with kids up to or above the age of 7.
Okay. So he can go.
Yes.
Yay. Okay. So, and did your daughter like it?
Loved it. Yeah, she was scared. She was scared, but
Yeah.
she, having her dad there, it was, perfect. And there was a lady that was on the boat that, filmed them. And then
Aw.
so they like switched, right? Like they filmed her and then she filmed them. So yeah, it was awesome. And then I just took my son out to the family beach and kind of played around with him in the water. And then we kind of just walked along the shore and like we walked over kind of where the Stingray adventure is and kind of just poked our heads in. And, I didn't know where they parasailed. And so I'm like, why can't we see them? Right. Like looking around and then they come back. They're like, no, we were like way out there. So yeah, we just kind of poked around. Then we put the kids into Kids Club. So that was the first time that we've ever done Scuttle's Cove. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So we put them in Kids Club and then we went over to the adult beach and had a massage.
Ooh.
Yes,
How
so it's
was
first time we
that?
Fancy.
Yes, it was nice. Yes.
Megan, I really am loving your Disney cruise experience here.
It was, well, now you know why I say that it was probably one of the best cruises we've been on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how was it? Let's talk about that for a minute too, because I don't know if we've ever talked about the couples massage over at the adults only beach at Castaway. So it's like an outdoor.
Yes. Yeah. So
thing.
it's kind of like a cabana, right?
Okay.
But maybe a little bit more sheltered, maybe not. But yeah, like a smaller cabana, all open. And it was lovely, nice and cool breeze like coming through. But I got, to be honest, like was a little chilly. I'm like, it's a little chilly in here. But yeah, other than that, it was really nice.
So good massage. And then do they have, I assume they have like curtains that they're closing over you when you're getting into the bed or.
Oh yeah. No, they just, tell you they leave, take your clothes off and then they put the sheet over, you get into the sheet like while they're still out. And then they come
But
in
it's like an open air.
Yeah, but there's nobody in front of you. I'm like, now I'm trying to think like, and there must have been a curtain like closed in front of us.
Okay.
Yeah, now I honestly can't
Just get
even
naked
remember.
in front of all the people at the beach. Okay.
Whatever, right? I mean,
It's
sounds
an
like
adult
Disney.
beach. It's
the
fine.
cruise was half full. I'm sure there's nobody there.
Christy, have you ever even been to the adults beach?
No.
Yeah.
This
so
week though, I'm going to go this next week.
This
was
is
our first
my
time. No
area.
kids.
This is my area of expertise because I've never been to I guess I've been to the family beach because I've snorkeled, but I have never spent time on the family beach. And
you
the
will.
adults beach, I will on my next 2 cruises. But on the adult beach, it's different vibes, Christy. It doesn't matter if there's a partition.
Yeah,
we can do what we want.
We
We're
can take our clothes
adults.
off at the beach. I did not even know. Okay. I'm
Oh,
ready.
How did I become that person?
Megan's like, no.
This is what Chris
I don't want people to
Steve
get the
is
wrong
now
idea.
dying.
Right.
And he is like going to give a warning at the front of this podcast.
Okay. The point is,
Oh, goodness.
your kids were in Scuttle's Cove. You all
Yes.
got to have a beautiful experience.
There
Sounds
you
like a
go.
great day.
Yep.
They parasailed, you walked around, you saw all
Yep.
the things, and then you got to go do it again.
Yes.
And on your second one, what did you do that was different?
That's when we got our cabana and we got there as early as possible and stayed to the very last group. And they had to, get us on the cart and take us back because we stayed so long.
Oh, I love that so much. What cabana number did you have?
I want to say 13
Ooh, no, there's no 13. So you
No,
either had 12 or 14.
or 14, something.
Those are my favorite. Those are my
They're the
absolute
best.
favorite cabanas.
Yes.
And you're right there next to the new bathroom
Yep.
that showed up sometime during my cabana having lifetime. Okay. So you got the perfect cabana.
It
Those
was
are my
like
favorite.
really, it's like really secluded. Like I
Yes.
I stood in the water and like looked back and like, okay, if I'm ever going to come back, would I want a different cabana? I'm like, no, I think this is like really good spot.
Like Chris from California really likes the lower number cabanas, but those are too close
Oh,
to the
they're too
crowded part of the
close.
beach for me.
Yeah.
And all the little beach chairs are on top of each other
Yes.
because their area is so jam-packed.
Agreed.
And when you're down at the other end of the beach, you have the both little water areas and
Yep. But then if you're too far down, then like when we were there, like low tide, like there was no
Yeah.
water. Mhm.
oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. That
So-
makes sense.
Yeah. So we were fine where we were at. The water was a little chilly, but whatever. We had a cabana. Who cares? So yeah, it was amazing.
And you get
Yeah,
used to it.
people get super concerned about the weather in January
Yeah.
in
And they should.
um
Because it could be anywhere. Honestly,
Yeah.
just know they might not be able to dock. The weather could be anything. It's just that these are January problems. If they're
Yeah.
But in general, if you are a north person, like
yeah, you'll
you're
be
from the northern places, or you're used to the Pacific Ocean,
Right.
meaning Los Angeles, Sacramento, San Francisco, or Seattle, or anywhere up there, the water is going to feel warm to you because it is just not like our oceans, which is freezing. So for a lot of folks who are like, ooh, the water is really...
been in that ocean? And
I have. I've sailed in January and February.
Okay.
And I can say that it wasn't pleasant, but then I got used to it, and it was much better than not being on a cruise.
And I'll say, I don't go in cold water, and I actually went in this water. So it was warm enough that I could handle.
And let's also be honest that August on Castaway, that water feels like a bathtub. I get in there and I'm like, what is going on? Why does this feel so warm? So I'm more of a like April. I like a good April Castaway temperature.
Never been in April. I'll have to try that, Chris.
That's the best time to go to Florida,
except that
too.
when you're trying to go on a run, it's already really hot.
Oh,
we did that too.
You did the Castaway 5K?
Yeah. So we started it with all four of us, but my little guy fell, and then my husband broke his phone. So so it was a little ordeal. So they went back to the cabana. Luckily, we had that, and then my daughter and I went and finished it, and then started our time at the cabana. Yeah,
and then jumped in the water.
Yeah.
Well, that's
good for you.
Well, that sounds like, honestly, the perfect way to spend 2 days at Castaway. It sounds like the weather was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Did you go bike riding at all?
We did. So I'm telling you all the things, right? It was like, this is included and we will take advantage. We did not snorkel. It seemed like too much of a trek to get over there, but we grabbed bikes at the very end of the day. Hence the reason why we were the last people off, because we were like, we need to make a loop. So we did a quick little bike ride and then ran back.
Did you get some floaties or like whatever inner tubes? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Because they were like right there next to our cabana. Mm-hmm. Oh, so super convenient.
And then there's sand toys for the kids.
Yep.
That's like right there to use.
Hammock. We did the hammock. Yep. Mm-hmm. Did that.
All right. You made the most. You get the seal of approval from Christy.
Yeah, these are the perfect 2 days. It sounds like. Really quick on the bikes. Did you put your 4-year-old in the little bucket, or did he?
He had his own, and that might have been a bad choice. That's the reason why it took so long, because he had some trouble with it.
Okay. And there were training wheel bikes, or did he have?
Absolutely.
Okay.
No, training wheels. Yeah.
Okay. That's so good.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Well, that sounds like an amazing cruise, and we're nearing the
Steve starting to get
of our Steve being like, "Excuse me, when is this? When is this ending?"
Steve getting twitchy time.
And we haven't talked about your 2-night on the Wonder. We're not going to do a deep dive, but there are people who reach out to us and say, "We see these 2-night cruises; they're really unusual. Is there ever a reason to do this?" Disney seems to be using these 2 nights mostly as a way to like shift their sailing calendar when they need to, because the dates start getting inconvenient of the week that the boat or that the ship leaves. And so they'll be like, let's just do a 2 night so we get back on a normal schedule.
Yep.
So my question is, how was that 2 night? What is it like to get on a ship for just 2 nights, which is really a day and a half, if you're being honest? What was that like?
I think it's what you'd expect it to be honest. It was not like the best cruise experience we had, but remember, we just came off of the one in January that was amazing. It goes to Ensenada, which was fun, right? My husband and I got off the ship. The kids stayed on the ship. We walked around, but and everything. Yeah.
So you were able to put the kids in the kids club.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
For the port day. That's great.
Yes. And that was when it was split, right? So my son was in the structured area and then my daughter was like freeform, but actually she tried, is it Edge? Like
whatever's next. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Steve usually knows the answer to what it's called.
It is Edge.
I feel like it's Edge.
The vibe is the teens.
Okay. So she got to try that for the first time and she loved it.
Oh,
so that was cool. That was neat for the 2 night. I was worried that we weren't going to like have enough time to be friendly with our wait staff and stuff, but we were so, they were just amazing. And like, we got to chat with them. Like they actually got to know us pretty well and like went and grabbed us beignets from Tiana's on our second night. So yeah, they were amazing.
Because you didn't get it.
No, we did. So they didn't give us Tiana's originally. And we asked when we got on the ship if we could switch and they did. Good. So we were in Tiana's the first night and then we were at Royal Table for the second. And so, we tried all the desserts and they're like, do you want us to go get you beignets? We're like, really? Yeah. And they're like, okay. So they went and grabbed us beignets and brought them over.
I mean, that's the way to do it on that ship.
Yeah. I love how you cruise, Megan.
If you're only going to do 2, do both those 2 restaurants. But okay, wait. you had Tiana's in your rotation because you insisted on it, which is
correct,
cool, or asked for it, which is
yes.
cool.
Yes.
That sounds like Christy if I ever heard it.
We tried to upgrade at the port and there was nothing to upgrade to.
Okay. We know that Disney is sort of having to double down on San Diego as a port because they were not able to reposition the Wonder the way they were hoping to. Steve just raves about Ensenada as a port. He loves that port. I've never been.
Megan's face is not ravey.
Oh, well, okay, but he did like activities. If I remember correctly, like he actually
he did La Bufadora and kayaking, which is very much his family's vibe.
Yeah, I mean, with the little one, like he's not vaccinated, so I think it was still during that time. Like we couldn't get him off the ship unless we were in a cruise activity, and I'm like, no, it just wasn't really worth it for the short period of time that we had. Like we wanted to enjoy as much as we could on the ship, so we only got off in Ensenada, for an hour, I think, and it was just like, oh, let's go stretch our legs, kind of thing.
On a 2-night, what shows do they do in the Walt Disney?
So I had been reading in the Facebook page, leading up to it that, they're not really going to do any shows, or they're going to do the same show twice, but they didn't. They did Aladdin, right? Oh, no.
No, it would have been Frozen.
Okay, yes. It was Frozen on the first night. And then the second night is...
Golden Mickeys or Dreams?
Dreams.
Was it like the kid who dreams and Peter Pan and the window?
Yes, because we'd already watched that on The Magic in January. So we skipped that one.
Okay. Yeah. I mean...
Did you love Frozen?
Oh, yeah. That's the second time we've seen it. It was amazing. Yeah. Oh, and I just want to point out, it was like right after... Oh, gosh. It's what's the red panda... Is it
Turning Red.
Turning Red, yes. So literally that was the only movie playing in the theater the entire 2 days. Yeah,
well,
so it was
that makes sense because it's the popular movie, right?
Yeah, but we'd already watched it at home. So it was like, okay, so guess we're not watching the movie.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
I mean, and if I only had a day and a half on a ship, I probably wouldn't want to watch a movie. I would probably be like, gotta go get my bingo on, or gotta go, do my...
Bingo was sold out. We tried to do bingo and it was packed. Yeah. So we, did a couple trivias, did some crafts, hung out. There was not as many things as I thought there was going to be for the 2-night. Yeah. It was just kind of like, okay, this is...
You're on the ship.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
Okay. Well, it sounds like, as we would always say, longer cruises are better. There's probably an upper limit on that though. Like there are certainly people who don't love the cruising vibe so much that they want to do more than a 7-night. And then there are people who are like, could I just do a transatlantic back to back and have so many sea days?
Well, I will say that there was a number of people who stayed on from the Panama. I think they were doing the Panama Canal cruise right before ours. And so then they just stayed on for the extra 2 days to like bump up their level. Or people came on early and did the 2 days prior to the next sailing. So it seemed like a lot of people did it as like back to back.
Back to back.
Mm-hmm. If only we had the time off.
Right.
So you drove the 6 hours for this from your house.
Oh, that was 8. Yeah. So we drove about 6 the night before, the Thursday night, and then we drove the remaining 2 or so the Friday morning.
That's a choice, but also
that's a choice.
It was probably not the best choice, but it was a choice.
I mean, we're driving to Lake Arrowhead tomorrow and driving back in the same day, and it's like a 90-minute drive each way, and I'm already like, oh no, why are we doing this? So it's actually not because of me. It's really our kiddo is not very patient in the car. They're just like, can we get there? Can we go? And so
like me in the car.
Yeah, I like
Hence
a good
the 4-hour
podcast. I like a good audiobook. I don't mind car rides, but 6 hours. Also, that drive, right? Especially if you went through the Central Valley when it's not as pretty, but it's faster.
Yeah.
That is not really a drive to see much. That is a drive to get to LA or get to San Diego as fast as you can.
We've done it so many times. So I used to live in Santa Barbara for college, and like, I don't know, we've just been up, and we go to Disneyland so often that like we've done that drive on 5 like so many times. It's just like, mental zone. We're just in a car driving.
We're doing it. We're popping in an audiobook or a podcast. Yeah, that makes sense. On our last... This is fun. On our last cruise on the Wonder, there was a group of people who drove down from San Francisco. And I was sitting and talking with Seth, and someone turned around and was like, Chris? And I was like, yes. And they were like, I know that voice anywhere. And I was like, oh, hi. And they were like, we literally listened to you talk for 5 hours from San Francisco to LA.
That's great.
And we knew you were coming on this cruise. So we've been waiting to hear your voice. And I was like, that's kind of sweet and scary and fun. But they were super sweet, really cool group of people. But my point is, podcasting when you're doing long drives is a way to pass the time.
Yeah,
I agree. I will make sure my car that I get at the rental car has CarPlay, and I will get my cord and we'll call everybody. So call me, Chris, on Thursday.
Just a chat.
Depends on if I have like work, but maybe
you can find some time.
Okay, so thank you so much for telling us about your amazing experience. It is honestly a joy to hear about these different sort of cruises, because not that we don't love the typical cruises on all 4 ships, but these ones that have a little something special, it's fun to talk about that. So, a double dip, a Marvel Day at Sea, and a 2-night cruise, those are some unusual itineraries. And it sounds like you cruise like our family, where you look for those unusual itineraries because you want to try some different things. So
yeah, definitely. And San Diego, another great place to sail out of.
Really great. Honestly, so convenient. And you can take the train right up to Disneyland, or you can stay at a hotel within feet of the port. So there's a lot of benefits. And San Diego is a beautiful city. And also, if you're fans of like Animal Kingdom in Florida, the Wild Animal Park in San Diego or the San Diego Zoo are really top-notch zoos. So there's a lot to do. But before we let you go, what's next for you? What is your sort of like next big family thing?
So we are stepping away from Disney for a quick. I know.
Never mind.
Remember we did.
Have a good night. Bye.
We'll be
back. No, what are you doing? I want to hear.
But speaking of unique things, we're doing a Royal Caribbean for my husband's 40th birthday out of New York, and it's going to go down south.
Oh, is it on the Anthem?
I can't remember.
I
think you must be right. And then we're going to stop at Bermuda, but then keep on going and like visit some of the islands down south.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. And then we booked the Wish for November.
Oh, that's a good year. Anything that includes the Wish means that you're still with Disney, and maybe both your kids will get a wand, and then you can take one.
I know.
That's how that works, right?
That's absolutely how it works.
Okay. Are they doing an overnight in Bermuda?
No, not this one. We almost did that, but we decided to do a little bit longer of a cruise. I think it's like 8 or 9 nights. So I'm with the people that's like, how many days can I stay on this ship? Yes, longer, better. Right. Yes, thank you.
Right.
And you'll actually have internet that you can purchase that works. And
that doesn't just run out like in the middle of the night that you're like, wait, I didn't use this. Yeah.
Right. You can also send us video of you doing the wave machine on the top deck or whatever.
That will be happening.
Okay. Well, that sounds like a super fun cruise. Yeah. And you're doing the Wish in November, which nice.
Can't wait.
Also, depending on when you're going in November, that could be a very maritime cruise, just saying.
Right before Thanksgiving, so fingers crossed.
Probably. I think they switch it over to very maritime within a week of Halloween on the high seas. So
that's my last theme that I have, like you, right? That's my white whale. It's my last theme that I need to check off before Pixar, right? But yeah, that's my last one I need to check off.
That's exciting.
Yeah. Very excited.
Well, it was so great to spend time with you this evening, and I'm so excited for these next cruises. We'll have to hear about it. So you better come on, and then we can't wait to hear about your Wish sailing as well.
And on your Royal Caribbean cruise, you can do the move up thing where you bid to move up to a suite ahead of time. So your travel agent, if you used one, we'll get an email, they'll send it to you, and then you'll be able to move up or whatever.
Okay, I'm gonna look at that.
The bid. So yeah. And it even says, if you bid this amount, you have a better chance, or even a better chance if you bid a higher. So look into that, and that'll be something fun since you are now into the suite life.
Yep.
Well, again, like Chris said, thank you so much for coming on. And we can't wait to hear about your cruises when you get back.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. It's been so fun talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
The DCL podcast is not affiliated with the Disney Cruise Line, Walt Disney Company, Adventures by Disney, or Run Disney. All of the opinions expressed on our shows are those of the hosts and the guests who appear on the show. If you have any questions about any of these products, please contact the Walt Disney Company.